Board of Assessors to order at 9 a.m. on Thursday, November 18th, 2021. Present from the board are Robert Early, Paul Bergeron, and myself, Daniel Hansberry. The first order of business, the meeting minutes from the meeting held on October 21st. So is there a motion to waive the reading of the minutes of the Board of Assessors from Thursday, October 21st, 2021, accept them and place them on file?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Are there any errors or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. At this time, I would recognize, second motion, sorry. Is there a motion to waive the reading of the minutes of the non-public meeting minutes from the Board of Assessors meeting held on Thursday, October 21st, 2021, accept them and place them on file?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Are there any errors or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. At this time, I will recognize Richard Vinson, who's the Chair of the Assessing Department, for a department update in the BTLA quarterly report. Mr. Vinson?
Good morning, thank you. Attached to the agenda is the report that went to the New Hampshire Board of Tax and Appeals on October 26th. I won't read through the whole package. It was status updates from using government solutions, quarterly report for the assessing department. And there are also links to some board meetings, board of assessment meetings. If there are any questions on the report, we can go over it.
Are there questions for Mr. Vinson?
No question.
No, I didn't have it.
I just have a question. You appeared before the Board of Aldermen recently?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I caught a little bit of that. The Ward 6 Alderwoman had raised a question about errors, what would be a significant number of errors. And I think I got what her question was. I don't think that they got that made at the meeting. But there's 25,605 residential properties in Nashua, so we'll take the 605 off and say 25,000. If you had 1,000 properties with errors, that would be 4%. If you had 500 properties with errors, that would be 2%. Is there a range for a number of errors that's acceptable? And I think she was talking about the outside measurements, because obviously there are going to be people who have made home improvements that haven't pulled the building permit, that kind of thing. But
Right.
I mean, for actual measurements of properties, are errors common, and what would be an acceptable range?
Well, there are two, you have to define what an error is. If the siding is incorrect, if somebody goes out to the property and finds that the siding that we have listed is incorrect, is that an error, or is that a change of the siding? So we have to define what an error is. Obviously, if a property is mismeasured, that's an error. Buildings don't usually expand or grow on their own. So if there's a mismeasurement, that would be an error. But we don't track errors versus data changes. So there is no measurement for errors. The Department of Revenue, they come out and inspect a random sampling of properties, and they have a scorecard. But that scorecard tracks incorrect data, which again could be a change of siding. So when they go out, they note that the siding is actually vinyl and we have clapboard siding. Is that an error, or was the siding changed? So they have a score sheet that they, it's a report card on each property that they look at. I don't remember the actual point scoring when they consider a property. I think it's around 7 points. And if a property has more than 7 points, what they'll do is they have a grading system for each error, for each change, each error that they find. and I believe it's 7 points. If you score 7 points or more, then that property fails. But they also look at the overall scoring. And very rarely does a town fail that scoring, because they're looking at a number of properties, and generally, the properties are well within the 7 points, and overall are well within the scoring that they track. So there's no, to answer your question, there's no easy way to keep track of actual errors.
Anything else? No? All right, you all set, Mr. Benson?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, I'll recognize Greg Turgis, who has some prorated assessments for us. Mr. Turgis, good morning.
Morning, Board. So the first one I have for you is the property at 8 Tomalonis Drive. First, we're asking for the exception, accepting the late filing due to accident, mistake, or misfortune. This is a property that had a very severe fire. Once she found out about the proration, she filed. And then, if that is accepted, the proration for the damage of the building due to unintended fire.
Questions for Mr. Turgis?
I don't have any.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the late filing for proration of taxes for damaged building due to accident, mistake, or misfortune for the property located at 8 Tomalonis Drive?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the prorated assessment for the property located at 8 Tomalonis Drive?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the in-house correction for the property located at 8 Tomalonis Drive?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Mr. Turgis?
The next property I have is 58 Carnet Road, and it is the exact same situation. Looking for approval of the late filing due to accident, mistake, or misfortune. This property also had a severe fire of unintended nature. Then the approval of the prorated assessment and the in-house correction.
Are there questions of Mr. Turgis?
No.
Is there a motion to approve the prorated assessment for the property located at 58 Carnet Road?
Maybe to start with the late filing.
Is there a motion to approve the late filing for proration of taxes for the damaged building due to accident, mistake, or misfortune for the property located at 58 Carnet Road?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the prorated assessment for the property located at 58 Carnet Road?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the in-house correction of the property located at 58 Carnet Road?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Does that conclude your report?
That concludes my report. Thank you very much, Board.
Thank you.
Is there any unfinished business to come before us?
No, I don't have any.
Okay. We have reached the point in the meeting for public comment. When you come before the board, if you're going to address us, please state your name and your address. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes, and I would just remind everyone that once again, common human decency should prevail, common sense should prevail when making your comments. First member of the public.
41 Berkeley Street. Couple things. I'm requesting that the board make a change to the policy manual regarding the handling of abatements and place in there just a item that states that the Board of Assessors does not review abatement applications, but the board upon request can receive applications to review if you so choose. And I'm asking you to do that because the police finally finished an investigation on this matter, and I think the entire thing was ridiculously handled. I was invited by the DRA up to a meeting by the ASB yesterday, a public meeting to talk about this because they viewed it as so ridiculous. You know, I came to the board 18 months ago and asked a basic question, does the board review abatement applications? No one would answer me. I believe I went to the legal office and got rejected because it was a question not to be answered by, not requiring an answer under RSA 91A because questions don't have to be answered. I just wanted to understand if my interpretation of the state statute for boards to review abatement applications was clear, and I couldn't get an answer. So I then went to the BTLA, and they actually took the case and requested that Attorney Bolton respond. Attorney Bolton's response never stated whether the board reviewed the application. He danced around the issue completely, and he just ignored answering the question. The BTLA did not take it further. The DRA said to me, we don't think that your city is doing it correctly, that we would look into it, we might look into it, they couldn't guarantee it. I had back and forth communications with Peter Roth on this. He sent me emails, looked at my write-up, thought I did a good job, good on interpretation, reasonable issue. And then the DRA didn't take it, so I went to the police department and asked them to investigate a misdemeanor charge. You, Dan, withdrew yourself from that under legal advisement, which I personally think you should be removed from this board for doing that. A simple statement like trying to find out whether abatement applications are reviewed. The police come out with a report 8 months later and never asked the question to the Board of Assessor members who chose to participate, Bob Early and Paul Bergeron, if you actually review the abatement applications. Upon my request, they reopened it and asked the question directly and called me about a month ago to tell me, no, in fact, they don't. I don't know why it took 2 years or 18 months to get that answer. That's ridiculous, and that just shows the total lack of transparency. So my request is just put in the policy manual as part of the abatement process that, in fact, you don't do it. And then it's clear. Also, I'm very concerned about the sales review. You know, I didn't realize that none of the sales data, virtually none, only possibly 200 out of 2,500 have been qualified to this point. You know, Rick Vincent said it's due to a staffing shortage, but he is incorrect. Those sales, especially for abatements, cover October 1st of 2020 to September 30th of 2021. Our 2 residential assessors didn't leave until about September. Why did we not qualify data throughout the year? Especially when we were sitting home, part of that with COVID. That's perfect home-based work. And now we're in an abatement season that, once again, we got 200 properties qualified for people to pick from. Secondly, we're having trouble printing cards again. We're having trouble switching over the software. We're having software problems with the tax bill. Nothing's been sent out. I asked Rick Vincent if he would be willing to let a few volunteers go down, print the property record cards, put them in a book that's available to the public so we don't have to pay $1 each time we come in to buy them. He thought it was reasonable. He said he would look into it. In fact, this is what other municipalities do. I've gone to them and I received the book of information. I guess it turned out he didn't deny it, but he basically said that they're not willing to do that, that we should wait and by mid-December something should be available. We have been given misinformation and lied to time and time again by this city on the availability of records. Last year, those cards didn't come out until January or February. I was sending emails to Rick Vincent to print me 10 cards at a time, email them to me so I'd have to pay the $1 because they weren't available in November. And we go through the same thing time and time again since 2019. That's not transparency, and you're not working with the citizens. So I really think we can do a much better job. I did file a letter up at the BTLA today, and the state in a complaint on contract violation for this vision update. I'm very concerned about what I heard, and I'm disappointed you didn't come to the meeting. I asked the mayor to invite the Board of Assessors to sit at the table to ask questions. He told me he would do that, and you weren't even there. You should have been there for this update. You catching a part of it wasn't good enough. I would have liked you three gentlemen who are responsible for this board to ask questions. I've overused my time. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to address the first part of Mrs. Ortolano's complaint. This has been going on for a long time, and it's very simple. The question is, does the Board of Assessors, do the members review the applications? The question is, what is the application? The application that Mrs. Ortolano was talking about is the raw material that is sent in by the owner. Yes, we do not look at those. We are not full-time employees. An application from the owner, we haven't got the time to go through it. We wait for the assessing department to review that application and provide a summary to us. At that point, we are reviewing the application. And that's what I said at the police department the first time, and you accused me of either lying or not knowing what I'm talking about. We don't review the raw material. We review the summarized information that is given to us by the assessing department. We don't have the time to go through every application. We are here, we are basically volunteers, basically. We don't have an office downstairs, we can go through all this information. We rely on the assessing department.
That is an invalid.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Ortolano, you can't speak.
He spoke to me.
No, no.
And I'll write it up and post it, but that's a.
You're out of
baloney
order.
answer.
You're out of order. Are there any other members of the public who would like to comment?
Laura Cahoon,
Would you state your address, please?
30 Greenwood Drive.
Go right ahead.
I'm calling, first of all, on Mr. Early. If he doesn't have the time or the board members don't have the time to review the actual information that the property owner is given, I think that you guys should resign and get people that are willing to do that, because you're letting it be one-sided where only the assessors make the determination, and that's not right. Number two, I was a little concerned about what Mr. Vincent said the other night about the sales valuation, because he said that our assessors are going to do it. Well, the contract in section 601.41 says that Vision will be doing the sales valuation. Now, if they're not doing it, I want to know what discount we are getting on the bills that we are paying for Vision to do this revaluation. You know, we got screwed, the residents got screwed last time with KRT. I don't expect that the residents will accept Vision screwing us again. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Are there other members of the public who would like to comment? Okay, so that concludes our public comment period. Okay, comments by board members?
No.
I have none.
Just two things. One, I don't know how many times I'm going to beat a dead horse to death, but going back to the police department, when the police detective called me, he said I was under no obligation to go in and meet with him, so I didn't. And then as far as being invited to the Board of Aldermen meeting, I guess the mayor left us off the short list. Okay. Next is non-public session. Is there a meeting to go into the non-public session for two reasons? First, to discuss matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board, unless such person requests an open meeting. This exemption shall extend to include any application for assistance or tax abatement, a waiver of a fee, fine, or other levy, if based on inability to pay or poverty of the applicant pursuant to RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, parenthetical C. Second, under 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, parenthetical L, for the consideration of legal advice provided by legal counsel, either in writing or orally, to one or more members of the public body, even where legal counsel is not present.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
I will call the roll. Mr. Early?
Yes.
Mr. Bergeron?
Yes.
Mr. Hansberry, yes. Let the record show that we have entered non-public session at 9:19 a.m.